Hey,
We are finally live. Welcome. We're going to get the Instagram going. We got the YouTube going.
took a bit.
Yeah, took a bit, but we are here. Good afternoon. Brian is here with us. Finally has touched down and landed. And we're thankful that he is here to just talk tap with us and many other things that we'll be discussing throughout our day. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm so glad to be here.
Man,
Thanks
I'm
for having
thankful
me.
you are here, fam. Back in Chicago. Well, I guess, when was the last time you think you were in Chicago?
I think it was in 2006 or 2005, whenever Imagine Tap was on.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's been a long time.
Dang, yeah, it's overdue, I want to say.
Yeah.
Definitely overdue. So, during this, I guess, segment that you and I are talking, I just, I gave you the topic of then and now.
Okay.
Then and now. And I mainly, I guess, shared that topic because that is how I kind of, I guess I could say, view tap, how I kind of continue on through the traditions by looking back. Again, to move forward, I know that might be like a cliche phrase that people say that often.
Right. But one thing I love about tap is that it's not a cliche in tap.
Ooh.
Right?
Yes.
Like, a lot of people talk about it, but that actually happens in tap dancing.
Yes.
That's the only way it happens.
Yes.
And I like. That was one of the things that drew me to write a history of tap dancing, is that the history is so alive.
Yeah.
History matters so much to dancers, and the tradition of it is so visible.
Yeah.
And audible in the present.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess the question is, for us now, especially as tap dancers, is how to display that tradition, display those historical aspects without, I want to say, without maybe the top hat, or without necessarily the, you know what I mean? Even if we incorporate the top hat or the cane, still trying to bring, that current or contemporary. I've been calling urban or of the now contemporary.
Yeah.
But still bringing that energy to it. While, referencing those old school, I guess statements that were made.
Right.
To help us continue.
Well, I think part of what that's about is it's not about the trappings. It's not about the costume.
Right.
Right. It's not even about the shoes.
Yeah.
Right. People think about tap dancing as a thing you do with metal on your feet.
Yeah.
Sort of. I mean, that's you can. I saw you doing that in your shoes right now.
Yeah.
It's not really about that. That stuff's extra, and it's part of the tradition. But the deep root of it is making music.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. I've been just stuck in between I guess not what's the most important, but when to promote one versus the other, or sometimes even when to accept someone who's maybe promoting one side of the dance versus the other side of the dance. Sometimes one side of our family might be all tradition, and then the other side might be, future, next, what's new. They already did that. So I don't know. What's your idea? How do you see, the past coming into the now, and then in a healthy way, I guess.
Yeah. I guess I don't see it as so oppositional.
Yeah.
The show that Dormisha and Jason Samuels and Derek Grant did, and Still You Must Swing.
Yeah.
That to me it was a show that Dormisha decided to do because she felt like people didn't know the past enough, right? They had forgotten how to swing, right? So she's like, we're going to show them how to do it.
Yeah.
But that show was the most cutting edge you could possibly be. I mean, those people are dancing on the far boundary of whatever the present is.
Agreed.
Right? So there's no trade-off there, right? That was the most traditional show you could have, and the most forward-thinking.
I completely agree, Brian. It's just tough because I wonder if like the general public, I guess.
Well, that's something different.
You know what I mean? Yes, absolutely. But it's marvelous when we can see it, you know, and then Still You Must Swing being done at the Pillow, or being done at, you know, a lot of these prestigious venues and stages. But that's been on my mind too, because, you know, even thinking about my own practice, how much I love John Coltrane. We were talking about Train on the way here, and talking about, you know, how certain listeners have to only either take Train in, you know, sections or in eras, or not at all sometimes, you know. So I guess that is my dilemma too, not only for the dance or the jazz music audience, but also for the general public that are maybe interested in dance, especially tap dance, but only know a Shirley Temple, Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, maybe Bill Robinson, you know what I mean? Right. And then showing them and Still You Must Swing, and hoping that, you know, they're attracted to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, and then they're going to make the connections without having anything in the middle. Is that sort of what you mean? Or,
yeah.
Like I only have these other references, and this thing's over here. And how do those go together in my mind? And
I've been troubled with making sure that there's a connection there, without taking it too far out, I guess, if you will, or making it too cutting edge. Sometimes.
Well, that's a dilemma of any artist, right? You're going to have the way out stuff is always going to be for a smaller public. And even, you know, a certain mood. I don't always want to be not on the edge.
Pushed over like that. I don't know. I guess,
and you know, for art form to be healthy, you need the balance, and you need the whole spectrum of ways in, I guess.
Another little topic I wanted to bring into the mix, I guess, still talking about this then and now. And Brian, man, this is just really me talking to you about the things that go on in my mind. Straight up, bro, about tap dance, and about like what to do, how to continue it, and how to share with other practitioners in the mindset of moving forward and creating more for, of course, the well-being of the form, but for each other. Thinking about tap dance also in the choreographic realm. You know what I mean? And how I always thought this argument, like, I don't remember there being a show choreographed by Lon Chaney, or a show choreographed by Chuck Green, them saying, hey, this is my show at the Joyce, you know, here's my choreography at the Pillow, blah, 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 blah. So I guess, how do you feel that tap has been able to still tap into that tradition of the solo dancer, you know what I mean, as you know, and then come out of that through this whole new choreographic voice, which is kind of, in a sense, new sometimes, it feels like, you know?
It's still fairly new. I mean, there will always have been routines. The tip, tap, and toe, or, you know, Four Step Brothers, when they had their routine that they worked on. And sometimes, like at the Berry Brothers, they had their routine they did every single time,
of course,
for over and over and over, and that was their thing.
Of course.
And that's a kind of choreography. But then it did become different when in the 70s when people like Brenda Buffalino and Jazz Tap Ensemble were finding a new place for tap, where it had fallen out of the commercial realm, fallen out of Broadway. All the venues that people used to have had dried up, but there was this other place you could go. These non-profit venues. This whole what modern dance had set up, basically. Grants. Arts money. All that different world. And they pulled it into that realm, and there's been a lot of beautiful things made in that realm, and it's been good for the art. But then I think what you're saying is there's still a little tension about how does that maybe what's lost, or is there a discomfort in taking something that was born somewhere else and transferring it to this other zone?
Yeah.
That wasn't made for it. That it didn't create itself. You know.
Right.
Yeah, I think there's always a little bit of that tension.
Yeah.
I think that's eased up a little bit over time because there was a lot of prejudice for a long time.
Yeah.
Against tap in that world.
Yeah.
And I feel like over time that has gone down.
I would agree. And putting it into perspective, like you're saying, referencing like tip, tap, and toe, and numbers like that, it makes sense how we could even open, those 2 minutes of a number from a film, a black and white film, of course, and create a choreographic voice. That's, it's wild, but that's similar to what Ivory Willa Jr. was talking about as far as the Four Step Brothers material. We're doing like, just shedding upstairs to some John Coltrane, 30 minutes, 15, long sheds.
Yes.
And Ivory comes over with his phone and shows us a 5-minute Four Step Brothers material.
Yeah.
He's like, this is all the material you need right here.
Yes.
You can find it. You can go searching for 30, 40 minutes if you really want that journey. But the stuff is really here for us to be creating and continuing the dance. So I appreciate you saying that because I needed that. I needed that because I will leave a tap show and sometimes be so disturbed. And like even on the Uber way, I have to watch some Jimmy Slide, like a Jimmy Slide show, solo or something. Going, let me just watch Eddie Brown right now and just realize where I am.
Go back to the touchdown.
Yeah. But remembering that, there was a choreographic, avenue being, brewed upon during those times. I guess too, thinking about the groups and the different acts, I always result back to the freaking Hoofers, man. And that particular group of men. And of course in Diane, I don't know who all was involved, and officially named one of the Hoofers.
Yes.
But that particular group of men and or women that, what they did, the track, and then they did them. But I also have to remember their life's experiences.
Of course.
Too.
Right.
I have to remember that and have to remember where Lon Chaney comes from and where Bernard Manners comes from and Chuck Green and so forth and Jimmy Slide. And remember that they have a real story to tell, a real experience to express. Dang. Gosh, that just put more weight on my shoulders, Brian. Like, man, when because now as solo artists, as solo tap dance artists, we have to make sure, we know what they were doing when they were doing it. Yeah. Not just putting on the shoes, soloing 5-10 minutes, however long, or 2 minutes doing their steps, but really honoring that. And how
living inside it.
Yeah. How they're doing it and how they're living inside it. So that we can do something similar.
Yeah.
It will never be the same as Lon Chaney.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
Right. That's what the tradition's all about.
Yes.
It can't be the same. You're doing it the same, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Wow. Yes, sir. I must agree. But
those guys, part of the example that I think is so beautiful is that people tend to think of dance as a young person's art. The athleticism of it. You're 25, you're done.
Yeah.
No, you can mature in the art and you can get richer and deeper. And I'm getting older myself, and it's been nice to see people of my generation start to mature in that way, grow into a different role.
Yeah.
The Sabian Glovers, the Dormishas, they're in their prime now.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's all interesting, man, because I was going to mention, because Christina and I were just listening to a Diane Walker interview, something that I snuck and recorded during a DC Fest. I had one of the one of your moves and slid a tape recorder. I was like, let me just get this from Diane real quick. And she was talking about Chaney and how he started, maybe in his 20s or 30s, something like that.
He started late, yeah.
That is incredible.
In prison, I think.
Incredible. So, I don't know. That, again, goes back to, my theories on this thing called TAP. It's just really knowing what you're here for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, clearly, Lon Chaney knew that he had something to say, that he had to, continue this, I never met Lon.
Yeah,
but, what I see and hear, and then especially hear from other people, really, exemplifies that I'm a hoofer, and this is the Hoofers Club, because I believe that was all him, right? That's what Diane was saying. Especially doing Black and Blue, she was saying that folks had to go through Chaney in order to change the Hoofers line or the track or suggest anything. So just
and the track, I think, was his invention.
Was his. But going back to the choreographic thing, seeing choreography or seeing routines versus the track.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Gave me such a different feeling. Of course, tip, tap and toe, Four Step Brothers, Nicholas Brothers, Condos Brothers, what have you. All the different famous acts, we love them. We all love them, and we know what they do to us and for us. But when I saw the track, man, just that ground level vocal and each cat doing them, and then even the ending is just like it's a struggle for me to know the proper path. But I think now with everyone practicing, I guess, and in a healthy regime, it seems more clear to how we can, continue on the right way.
Yeah. Make sure it's all parts of the story are being broadcast and known and remembered.
Yeah.
Right. Because there was a long time where a lot of the story was not. Was not getting the same airtime, let's say, as some other parts.
Yeah.
I have to remember that. I mean, when I was growing up, I didn't know any of this stuff. Until I started really looking. I started going to the Swing 46 jam with Buster Brown.
Heck yeah.
And that's where I got really curious.
Wow.
About the history.
Heck yeah.
And I didn't know anything.
Man, how long were you around for the Swing 46 times? Because I missed all that era.
Most of the time, yeah. And then when it went after Buster died and Harold Cromer was running it too.
Dang. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know Buster, when he passed, Harold was running
Harold
again.
running for a couple more years, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, man, I jumped in around, was it Cody's place?
Yeah, that's another one.
Yeah, I was around during that time. And Showman's a little bit. But David.
That's a whole different scene. Yeah. And that went back way back.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Very different jam.
Yeah. Not so much like, hey, this is me, this is my tune. It was just like, I guess Kobe's was like that, but different from Swing 46 from what I heard.
Yeah. Well, Swing 46 was really just anyone's invited. Right, so you put on your shoes. You don't even have shoes. You get a whole tune to yourself.
Wow.
Do your thing. You've never done it. Never been on stage before. You're up there.
Yeah.
You're Sabian Glover. You're up there. Right?
Yeah.
And they're next to each other. It was that kind of crazy wide open scene.
Yeah.
Whereas Showman's was a little more cutthroat.
You had to know.
You had to know.
Yeah, you had to know somebody.
And you only had that tiny little stage, and you had 8 or something.
Yeah.
That's what you had.
Yeah, man. Dang, I did not know that was how Swing was ran.
Well, that was Buster.
Yeah.
That was his personality.
Man.
He was just love everybody kind of guy.
I've heard. I only got to connect with Buster.
Family picnic kind of.
Yeah. Only for, certain amounts of time. But I love to hear that, because that is the type of, session we've had at the Jazz Showcase over the past couple of weeks, as well as, just throughout the community here in Chicago. Open the floor up to whoever has shoes. I've been proclaiming that as the Gregory theory.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, you know what I mean? I think he said something like, as long as you got shoes, as soon as you can choose, you're in, or something like that.
Right, which of course is true and not true.
Yeah.
Right, and this goes back to what you were getting at before, right? The balance of being open and everyone's invited.
Yeah.
And yet this is also a really serious thing.
Yes, sir.
And it's a discipline, and you have to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And there are people who know what they're doing, and there are people who don't.
Yeah.
You know, there's that too.
Yeah.
There's room for both.
Yes, sir. I must agree. Man, Brian, I think we could cut it there.
Okay.
If that's all right with you.
Sure.
Dang, I think it's actually 2:30. Oh, it's 2:20.
We started late.
We want to open up. If y'all have any questions, I see some folks peeking around. But later at 5:30, we're going to be going live again and talking tap like this, but also diving into Brian Seibert's book. Do you want to say anything about your book or anything before we cut off, or just wait till we get to that section?
We can plug it.
Yes. You want to say anything, or should I?
You can.
Okay. What the eye hears, you all. If you haven't heard, you should hear and get in tune. We as tap dancers are always looking for the next piece of clarity. And Brian has committed to, I don't even know how many years, B. I feel like
it was too many.
I've met Brian like over 10 years ago. So I can only imagine before I was even around how many decades and how many years it took to gather the information for us, for the people who love tap dancing.
I'm glad you said that, because that's something I feel and don't often get to say, that's who it's for.
Yeah. No, man. I'm appreciative you're here and just open to conversation. I don't know about any of you all out there, any other tap dancers, but when I saw even Brian was opening up his YouTube channel to, sharing some of his finds, from, I don't even know how many things I stumbled upon looking through his channel. And I just reached out and just had a conversation with Brian. And we were able to exchange, and it was phenomenal because it better helped me understand, again, this thing that I loved. And even from Brian's perspective, I guess, gave me more information, to clarify what I wanted to do in this dance. So we need you, man. So I'm thankful you're here for the festival.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Look forward to more talks.
Good.
Thank you, bro.
All right.
More to come.
Yes.
Y'all log back in about 3 hours. We'll see you soon. And
that was easy.